If you've ever wondered why people you consider less smart than you, probably less educated than you, maybe even less good looking than you, are creating better content and attracting larger audiences than you are, you'll want to watch this entire video. This video will be helpful for you if you've been feeling annoyed because you see what you consider to be terrible, nonsensical, or straight up badly informed content thriving and attracting more people. It'll be helpful for you if you've been feeling frustrated because you've been creating what you consider to be great content, but not many other people seem to agree. And it'll be helpful for you if you've been feeling discouraged because you see what people seem to like, for example, dorky dancing on Instagram, and you don't feel like you can bring yourself to do that. Spoiler alert, and thank goodness, it's not just about the dorky dancing. So I came up with a chart that illustrates the core traits of people you might consider dumb who create great content, and I've called it the Great Content Creator Pie Chart. Not very creative, I know, but you see why in a moment. There's a delicate art to what you generally consider to be dumb content, and the goal of that art is to make whatever you're trying to say easier for people to understand. Because if people cannot understand what you're trying to say, then you're not effectively communicating whatever it is you're trying to communicate, which means you're not connecting. And for your content to connect, you first have to be able to grab attention, hold it, before you can convert that attention into either followers or clients and customers for your business. People you consider dumb know this very well. And the question at the top of their minds when they create content is this: what's the best way to get people to pay attention to this message I'm about to share? And one of the easiest ways to get people to pay attention is through entertainment, which is probably why you see so many videos with dorky dancing online. Now, while that might be one of the easiest ways, it's definitely and thankfully not the only way. Another way to make your content easier for your audience to understand is by breaking down jargon. Words used by professionals, mostly within professional spaces. They're like inside jokes. And you know, the only people who understand inside jokes, the people on the inside. Everyone else is confused. To use jargon is to assume your audience knows what it means. And people you consider dumb know not to make any assumptions about what their audience knows. And so they avoid jargon in the content they create to make sure everyone is on the inside and can understand what they're saying. And if they must use jargon at all, they explain its meaning just like I did earlier, breaking down jargon. Words used by professionals, mostly within. This is also why I called my chart the Great Content Creator Pie Chart, because at the end of the day, and remember this, where it comes to creating great content, clarity is more important than cleverness. So the first trait of great content creators is they know how to keep it simple. Another thing about content creations you consider dumb probably has less to do with their content and more to do with how people see them. And it's based on two core truths of great content creation, one of which 90% of smart content creators don't know. You're not creating content for yourself. Because if you were creating content just for yourself, then you shouldn't have any concerns about how many people are following you or how big your audience is. But 90% of content creators like to deny that ultimately, if your goal is to expand your impact and create an audience, then you're creating content for your audience, or at least you should be. The second core truth of great content creation is that people ultimately follow you when you make an impression they like, so they can get to know you better and build trust with you. And those people who you consider dumb know the value of likability. And one way they practice this is by staying committed to building community. And I know what you might be thinking right now. How about those celebrities who stay mysterious but still have large followings? Well, I put it to you that those celebrities and those types of people are a dying breed. We are seeing the last of them right now. Technology provides access to so many ways of communicating, and people expect you to use them. Sure, there may be a handful of people with large audiences they are not that connected to, but that's not the norm, and it won't be. The celebrities of now and the future are like TikTokers, YouTubers, Twitch streamers, and regular people like you and me. And the ones who build lasting impact are the ones who are committed to building genuine connections with their audiences. So the second trait of great content creators is that they are committed to community. Another thing you may have noticed about content creators you consider dumb is that after a period of observing them, they may start to sound repetitive. There's a page I observe on Twitter, or should I say X, for instance, and every few days, the page repeats something they've posted before. And every single time without fail, the repeated post will go viral, consequently attracting bigger audiences to their page. You may conclude that the reason why they repeat content is because they're dumb but out of fresh ideas, but there is intelligence behind it. You see, in the world of social media algorithms, originality is overrated, repetition is powerful, and the people who you consider dumb understand this. They know that social media algorithms, which is the artificial intelligence guiding your user experience, pick up signals indicating what people like based on what has gone viral before. And so if they simply hitch their wagon to a formula that has worked before, they are very likely to go viral. And not only do they practice this by repeating their own content, they also search for successful content by competitors and replicate their formulas. And guess what? Most of the time, they repeatedly perform well. And if you're still in doubt about originality being overrated, the success of Threads, which is simply Instagram's take on Twitter, or should I say X, is another example. The success of Instagram Reels, which is Instagram's take on TikTok, is another example. And the success of Instagram Stories, which is Instagram's take on Snapchat, is yet another example. Basically, Instagram is a combination of other popular social media platforms, Frankenstein together by Mark Zuck, and guess what? The platform continues to succeed and exceed the expectations of its users and owners. So another trait of great content creators is that they stick to what works. Another thing you may have noticed about content creators you consider dumb is you can't seem to get away from them, which makes you even more annoyed. Their stuff is everywhere, right? You probably see multiple posts from them daily on short-form content platforms like Instagram and multiple posts from them weekly on long-form content platforms like YouTube. That is also intentional, and there are at least two things you probably don't know regarding this point. Firstly, they know the rule of sevens, which means that typical audiences need to see or hear your message at least 7 times before they take action. And so they act on that. They repeatedly churn out content to get in front of people repeatedly and increase the chances that people will take action and convert into followers and eventually clients or customers for their businesses. And if you're thinking that it has to take a certain level of recklessness to churn out that much content within a short period of time, you're probably right. Not recklessness per se, but you can't be an overplanner and churn out content with that much consistency. And yes, there is such a thing as overplanning. And you may now be asking, but throughout our lives, we've been taught that planning is a good thing. Planning is good. Overplanning, though, may be destructive. And now you may be wondering, what then is overplanning? I'll give you an example. I once spoke to a lady who claimed she was planning out her content for 3 months before she would start posting. 3 months! When you don't even know what's going to happen in 3 weeks, you don't even know what's going to happen in 3 days, you don't even know what's going to happen in the next 3 seconds. And what happens when you overplan is that you risk overwhelming yourself, or even worse, becoming so committed to your long-term plan that pivoting when needed in the short term, and it will be needed, becomes difficult or impossible. Those people who you consider dumb understand that the best plan is to put one foot in front of the other. And so the fourth trait of great content creators is that they abandon overplanning, or its older brother, overthinking. The next thing people who create great content know is you may be right. Their content may objectively suck, be dumb and badly informed, but what you're probably wrong about is this. The possibility of being wrong should not stop you from putting your content out there. And the people who you consider dumb know this. Take the Instagram gurus, for instance, whose content is mainly about breaking down the algorithm. It's mostly based on assumption. You cannot prove or disprove many of the allegations they lay against the algorithm. The poor algorithm cannot defend itself. And even when representatives from Instagram deny things like shadow banning, a popular social media myth in which a platform limits your reach without your knowledge, the gurus insist that shadow banning is a real threat, and they don't let the possibility of being wrong stop them from trying. They know that there's room to right wrongs, and so they shed the expectation of perfection. And they continue to put their content out there and build engaged audiences. Another great example of this trait in play is Russell Brunson's ClickFunnels 2.0. Right now, that platform is still missing some of the key features that make ClickFunnels Classic so great, but that didn't stop Russell Brunson from launching the platform and getting people to pay him and his team while they continue to make it better. Clarity comes from taking action, and most people don't care as much about perfection as you think they do. Besides, perfection is a subjective illusion. What may be perfect to you may not be perfect to the next person, and what may be perfect to the next person may not be perfect to the person after that. So to chase perfection is to chase an illusion. The fifth trait of great content creators is that they shed perfectionism. Another thing you've definitely noticed about content creators you consider dumb is that regardless of your perception of them, they're still there. Regardless of whether you consider them dumb or not, they're still there. They have embodied 3 facts that people spend their entire lives struggling to understand. The first one is that the opinions of others have no real power over you. That's a fact. Otherwise, the fact that some people think badly of them would have stopped them from bombarding you with your content already. The second fact is that most people aren't thinking as much about them as they think they are. That thing about yourself that you're super conscious of, the way you speak, the way you look, your mannerisms, most normal people are barely noticing at all. And the third fact they know is that yes, there might be a small number of people who do think about them, focus on their flaws and hate their content, but there are probably so many more people out there who will appreciate them, their vibe, and the things they create. And so they're okay with being judged by a few because that's part of the process of getting to the many who need them. And so they push through unfriendly comments and hostile responses some people may have to them as they continue to churn out content with eagerness to connect to the people who will appreciate it. And so the next trait of people who create great content is they brave criticism. There is so much more I can say about great content creators, and great content creators who create great content. And that's what I do during my 100 Days to 10K kickoff. It's a workshop where I take a hands-on approach to sharing the exact blueprint with which I grew my page from 0 to over 10,000 followers and built a 5-figure business in less than 100 days. I also show entrepreneurs and business owners a roadmap to making at least $10,000 in additional monthly income through content. So if that sounds like something that might help you, check the description for a link to sign up. If you like this video, give me some feedback by liking it, spread the love by sharing it, and stay connected by subscribing to this channel so you know when a new video drops. I'm Cynthia Adeyi, and I help you master the art, science, and mindset of content so you can attract more clients and customers and increase your income. I'll see you in the next video.